There we are. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Well, glad to be with you. It's been a little while. Seems like it's been a lot longer than it has. I'm Clay, joined by the lovely and gracious E Train, sporting her new glasses.
Yes, I am. I hope y'all like them. Love them.
She has had a little bit of a problem getting them, so kind of a big day when she got them. Glad that they arrived and are working good.
Very well. Thank you.
Sky, good to see you. And yes, it is a horrible day for Israel.
Okay,
I
somehow I
don't
missed that. I don't know what's going on there because I've been focused on what's going on in North Carolina, um, in the West.
Iran
So,
launched hundreds of missiles against Israel.
and the Iron Dome.
Some people say it failed, it didn't work. The Dome normally doesn't fire or try to intercept a missile that is going to land in an unpopulated or a very sparsely populated area.
Hmm.
And these missiles looked relatively unguided.
Okay.
I don't know. So I haven't seen any numbers or information on the actual targets, on the damage, on any deaths. There were some Iron Dome interceptions, but each Iron Dome missile cost, I don't know,
A
a
lot of money.
million. Yeah. And so they can tell by the trajectory of the missile where it's going to land.
Right.
So, I've seen a lot of times when missiles are fired out of Lebanon, they don't intercept them because they just, fall in the wilderness or in unpopulated areas. So I don't know. Some people are saying Iron Dome didn't work. I don't know.
Okay.
But war between Israel and Iran is looking highly likely.
Well,
Is that the precursor to World War III? Don't know.
I heard when they
Hello.
attacked them. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying hello to Jane.
Hi, Jane. I heard when they attacked a military base in a U.S. military base in Iran. I heard that was someone said that's going to be World War III. I'm
In
like, I don't
Iraq.
know.
Yeah.
Iraq. Okay, I was like, I don't know. Calm down. Not
Yeah,
sure
they've
that's
all
the thing because they've attacked so many thus far, and we haven't done anything.
yeah. They've already hit the base in Iraq previously over the past year, and again, we've done nothing. So, I don't think that really would kick off much.
Gotcha.
Um, so we shall see. But that's the big question mark right now is how will Israel respond? They will,
Hmm.
but how will they do it? To what extent? How will Iran try to march? I don't know. Um, Israel has pretty much been kicking the hell out of Hezbollah, particularly their leadership. They
Hmm.
pretty much, you know, devastated Hamas. So now they've turned their attention to Hezbollah, starting out with the beeper bombs,
What are
which
paper bombs? Never mind. They're pagers. Works.
yes,
We called them pagers. I guess to you they were beepers. I don't know.
yeah, pager bombs is just not as cool as beeper bombs.
Sorry.
It's a little alliteration there,
I gotcha.
which was, I admire the ingenuity, the foresight, because first of all, Israel had to anticipate that sometime in the future, Hezbollah would want to move its people away from smartphones. And so they bought or, invested in, actually created a shell pager company and would just sell pagers, in the open market and to certain industrial customers. They would actually buy pagers from another supplier and private label them and then sell them. And this was 2 years before Hezbollah decided to make the switch. And finally, Hezbollah decided, yeah, let's get pagers for everybody instead. And so Israel takes a special batch, decorates them properly with the terrorist special package and delivers those to Hezbollah, who then distributes them around.
Mhm.
And
Boom.
I haven't read anywhere, but I would think that Israel would also put a tracker in each. And so not only did they know where each member was at any time, they could see the entrances to the underground tunnels, the secret meeting places. They could figure out, where some of the munitions depots, stores were. You've seen Israel bombing, for example, a house. And people think, Israel is attacking citizens. And then you watch the secondary explosions from that very same site. Well, those are other missiles that were stored there cooking off. They hit a weapons depot. And so it has been kind of a master class on eradicating terrorists, Hezbollah.
I want to say a quick hi to our friends on Twitter, or X, excuse me. I keep messing that up. Elon, I apologize. And to our friends on Rumble, we appreciate you being here and contributing to the discussion. If we can quickly just go through some things from the storm in North Carolina. Like if you have any major updates or just the general, Chimney Rock doesn't exist anymore. Biltmore Village underwater, a lot of stuff gone. And it has been a horrible, horrible week for Western North Carolina.
Yeah, it's just been a completely horrible, catastrophic event out there. The stories coming out of the region are just absolutely tragic. I read a plea from a man today asking people to check creeks, valleys, rivers near their residences along this river for bodies of his missing family. He just wants to bring them home, give them a proper burial. He's, I guess, fairly convinced from looking at the site of their residence or whatever that they're gone. I've been hearing stories from rescuers of finding bodies in trees, under rubble, obviously, in cars that were simply swept away. Most people don't understand that in a flash flood, if water is 2 feet deep, moving at a relatively rapid speed, say, and this doesn't sound fast, but 5 or 6 miles an hour, which is pretty damn fast for water, it can sweep your car away. 2 feet deep, it'll sweep your car away.
Sure will.
And, so even if you're trying to flee and you're crossing a major flow, you still could, be swept away.
Even if you get out of your car, there's not a whole lot of chance that you're going to do any better off.
Yeah. I have no idea what the final death toll will be, but I'm pretty damn confident it'll be understated.
Yep.
Just the pain, the agony, it's incomprehensible to those of us who aren't there, hadn't gone through it. I saw this one video of a man standing on his porch deck. Let me see if I can pop it up.
And the sad thing is that last I heard, which was yesterday, there were 100 National Guard soldiers. I'm hearing myself. Sorry. It's weird. That's all the help that's been sent to North Carolina.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in a minute. But when I talk about a flash flood, here's a guy with a house kind of on the side of the hill, kind of a nice little idyllic setting, and you really wouldn't expect a whole lot of issue. Well, watch this for a couple seconds.
Yeah. This is Chimney Rock.
If his house had been another
My
10 or
car's gone.
15 feet over,
The everything's gone. It's all gone.
It's okay. It's okay.
Are your parents okay?
They're okay.
Was anybody in the gym?
It's okay. It's okay.
Hey.
yeah, if that house had been 10 or 15 feet over, it would have been carried down the hillside, and everybody with it.
Yeah, and speaking of Clay, I think it's on your end. I'm hearing myself again, like repeating.
Let's see here.
But I hate this. But anyway, can y'all hear the double, or is it just me?
Talk for a second for me.
Hello.
Yeah, it's not coming out of my speaker. I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay.
It's not coming out of the computer speakers. It's all in my earphones. So you shouldn't be hearing that.
Okay, well, maybe it's just me, and I can deal with that. But yeah, Eastern Tennessee, I-40. Oh wait, you hear the echo. Moffat, that's on your end, honey. It didn't start until you.
Is the echo when I talk or when Ellen talks?
Just me.
Then I don't think it's on my end.
The only thing that changed was putting that video up. Let's try it now. See, now it's gone.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but okay, so 40 East in Tennessee is gone. Coming towards North Carolina, it is just gone.
Yeah, it was built in the side of the mountain. I don't know if y'all have seen pictures of it. I don't have one, but it's built in the side of a mountain, and it's a 4-lane interstate. You've got 2 lanes heading west, 2 lanes heading east, and the 2 lanes heading east were on the valley side of the mountain, and that literally a lane and a half right up to that concrete median that divides the 2 sides is collapsed. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to fix it, how long that will take, but it won't be quick. So that road is out for a while.
Yeah, it is. It's going to mean.
Yeah.
Speaking of trucking and all the things else going on. Yeah, Ellen. Tiny town was spared. Newport, Tennessee was hit very hard as well. Yes. Yep.
And, remember, it spans on both sides of the border. East Tennessee got hammered as well. I haven't seen, most of the pictures that I have seen of the devastation are from Western North Carolina. So those are most of the ones that we talk about and use or have seen. I haven't seen quite as much out of East Tennessee, but I understand it's equally as bad there. I don't know why we haven't seen more. We haven't seen a whole lot on the mainstream media. They're just like almost a blackout of it. Very little coverage of what I've seen so far.
And I think it has to do with the fact that they're not sending any help.
That's
saying.
Yeah,
oh, look,
that's
we have a new human.
Timothy, appreciate you joining in. Thank you, sir. And yes, anytime there's a problem, that's the correct answer.
It's only Ellen. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, guys.
Now, in terms of the devastation, we really don't have good information. I checked, and the closest to the death toll I could find so far was about 130, with hundreds, possibly thousands missing, because there's a lot of people that live up there that really don't have family to call on them, report them missing, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know how many actually are missing or they haven't been able to reach. Floodwaters are still rising, so we don't know what implications that will bring about. The bulk of the rescue efforts so far
100
have been
of
have been by individuals and states. So far, the federal response has been anemic. It has been slow. It has been weak. Now, for example, here in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, we've got the 18th Corps.
Fort Liberty.
Yeah, no, Fort Bragg. I'll always call it that. I always have, always
I will
will.
too. I just had to pick on it.
The 18th Corps is stationed there, of which the 82nd Airborne is a part. At Lejeune, you've got the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Forces. Both of them have tremendous ability and resources to bring aid and support to this area within hours, literally hours. And they've been used in Katrina, in Florence, whatever. Several other, in Haiti, after the hurricane, I forget which one. They've got a whole medical brigade. They've got engineering brigades with heavy construction equipment. They've got hundreds, probably thousands of helicopters, medium and heavy lift copters between them that can fly in tons of aid. So far, neither one has been activated, which is unfathomable to me. Just absolutely unbelievable.
So Americans, your U.S. government has sent in the incredible grace of 100 National Guard troops, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we're getting.
FEMA landed its first plane in Asheville yesterday. I have seen no other notice of any further flights.
Yeah, Jane, my friends in Newport said FEMA and TEMA is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, people are even having to resort to mules to reach some of these areas.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Here's a picture of a team of mules carrying, MREs and water to some of the remote areas. And even then, they probably can't get house to house because of the distance and the rough terrain. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, with individuals. But there is obviously a shortage of manpower, of resources, having helicopters, drones, being able to sweep the areas. These are skills and tools that the military can put in place within hours. And they're an hour away from the site by helicopter. So I just don't, I'm frustrated and I'm angry that more is not being done because these people are dying. You've got lack of good water. You're going to have problems with dysentery and cholera and additional health issues. A lot of the people that live in that region are poor and old. I really don't want to read about people starving to death.
Pop is fine, in case y'all are curious. I know y'all know my grandpa's up there. He's fine. He's been checked on. He's good.
So this is kind of a sore subject for me. I even checked I've got some friends in the trucking industry that are brokers, and usually FEMA is trying to rent rigs to haul trailers and supplies to the impacted areas. As of yesterday afternoon, zero requests, 0 trucks signed up for emergency aid relief. Nothing from FEMA. Only individual truckers who had a gap saying, hey, take me off schedule. I'm going to, free haul goods to the area.
And they have to own their own rigs and be able to do that as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a sticking point with me. I'm mad as hell. um, that that more is not being done quicker. And Biden gets on TV and says, you know, we're sending aid, but we're sending all we can. We can't send any more. Well, one, what the hell have you sent? Two, you have no further resources to dedicate. And let's announce another $8 billion for Ukraine. You know, Ukraine needs the helicopters and the drones and the food and the medical supplies more than, you know, people in the mountains of North Carolina and East Tennessee and Georgia.
Did I send you that picture of from X of Kamala on the plane?
I posted it.
Oh, did you?
I think you got it from me.
No, I got it from another source. But her headphones aren't even plugged in. It is the stupidest thing ever. Like, she's so concerned about North Carolina and Tennessee and Georgia, and okay. Yet she's sitting there without her headphones plugged into her actual phone. So what? And yes, Clay, I do look at other X posts besides yours. I know that's
shocking.
I know.
Absolutely shocking.
I know you're disappointed, but it does happen.
Problem is, I have got too damn many websites
chop, Moffat.
and work. Hold on.
Speed that up.
How's that? It actually is on my personal
That's fine.
site.
Oh, the echo again.
But there you go. Kamala at her best. She says she's on the phone with FEMA. Her earphones aren't connected to her phone, and she's reading blank sheets of paper. Complete fraud. And you can take a look at the pic and blow it up. Well, yeah, there we go. Well, isn't working like it should, but anyway. I isolated the pic and blew it up. And these pages are just completely blank. And obviously this cord is just dropped down in her laps. There's no cord here to the phone. It's not brain surgery.
If Melissa were here, she would say, embiggen that photo.
Yeah, I embiggened it as much at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some other issues with flooding in the area. And I don't want to minimize or try to take the light off of the personal impact and the catastrophic personal cost. But there are some strategic and economic impacts to this as well. Some people are arguing or would argue that the economy rests upon the ability to produce silicone wafers. Because basically the raw material for computer chips, because our life, our future, everything is pretty much guided by these chips and their availability. Well, there are only 2 mines in the U.S. that make this very, very particular silicone powder that's used to make what's called the crucible that they cut the silicon wafers out of. And then they etch the chips on the wafers. Well, the top supplier in the world is located in North Carolina, a place called Spruce Pine. And here's Spruce Pine, a map. And this is showing what is that? I-26 and I-40, both of which have been shut down. So, and here Spruce Pine is where the mine and the processing plant are located. There are pictures of the site that show the mines flooded, the entrance to the processing plants flooded. Now, estimates indicate that if these mines and processing plant aren't brought back online relatively quickly and the roads repaired so that the powder can be shipped out to be manufactured as the crucibles, then within 4 to 6 months, there'll be no computers and no smartphones. Basically anything made with a silicon chip. Others, say the industry has a buffer supply of about 3 months of the powder. And hopefully they'll be able to get the roads fixed and the mine up and running by then. If not, there are some other alternatives, ways to produce lower quality silicon powder from other sites and refine it to this higher purity. Maybe Chinese and Russian suppliers. So I don't really know what the actual impact will be. It may be muted or some alternative arise. What's the old saying? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably bet on innovation and alternatives, but this is something I would keep an eye on because this may be a lot more critical than what some people want to admit. And here actually is a picture of the mine and processing plant pre-flood. Here you can see it's at the base of mountains. And then the plant here is alongside a river, which this looks like low-lying area. And the pictures I saw had it, water half or 2/3 of the way up the side of the building. So that's a problem.
Yep. I need you to figure out what it is that is making me echo when you put a picture up because I can't say a word. I feel
can't.
Okay.
I have no idea what's causing it. I don't even know that it's on my end. It may be on your end.
It's not.
Well, StreamYard has a new version out.
I know.
We're using the new version tonight, and they may have glitches in it. I don't know.
Having issues, yes.
Yep.
I'm not doing all that. Technical. You continue on. I'm going to turn it in.
So that's just one example of potential economic impact. We talk about, a lot of different issues on the show, and Helene, to me also kind of serves as a warning to a lot of the, climate change, green EV crowd. Looking at this catastrophe, what is actually helping, people survive or help them survive the devastation? What helps? A gas car, guns and ammo. There have been a number of reports of looting. Sheriffs have already, I saw one group of 8 or 9 immigrants arrested who decided to take the opportunity and loot, some of the affected. Gas stoves, gas water heaters, gas chainsaws, and generators. You've got gas 4-wheelers. And last but not least, maybe the most important, cash. All the, electrical money transfer, credit card services are down. And stores, grocery stores with whatever food, water they have, gas stations with whatever gas they have, the only thing they are accepting is cash. What doesn't help, what hasn't helped in this, crisis? Electric cars, smartphones, the internet. All of those are down and utterly worthless. Electric stoves, electric water heaters, obviously. Debit cards. You can have as much money in the bank as you want. Can't get to it, it's worthless. Crypto. Obviously, no electricity, no crypto. City metro transportation services. The government, particularly the federal government, has been absolutely worthless. Diversity and inclusion. Yeah, that's not helping anybody. Or all the tax dollars going to Ukraine. Right now, there's a whole hell of a lot better use for that. Ellen, you look like you want to say something.
I was just thinking, I saw Jane's comment, the ports are closed, so what does it matter? Well, that's kind of the thing. Do you think that Kamala, even though she is a wonderful human, I'm being sweet, is going to distance herself from Biden and the administration at this point, even though she's all a part of it because of the catastrophe going on all over the nation with Helene, with the ports, with just everything being chaotic.
I don't know. We're about to talk about the ports, and there's some interest. I've got some ideas that I think are kind of interesting on that. Don't know. I used to be. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I used to be a whole lot more restrictive or limited about engaging conspiracy theories, or what I would call conspiracy theories. But
Yes.
if anything has shown us this last 4 or 5 years, a lot of these things have turned out to be true, have had
Mhm.
some basis in reality. So some things that I can't prove, can't document, I still kind of think there's evidence for. And some people would probably call them conspiracy theories. So I will throw those out and entertain those. I'll say I can't prove it, but I'll address a couple of those in a minute. Let's switch to the ports. As if the past few years haven't been bad enough, Americans could once again face shortages, high inflation, particularly this coming holiday season. Perfect
Hang on.
time for.
Hang on. Go get your toilet paper and paper towels now.
Also got to throw this out. Don't forget off-grid solar cooking. Yes.
There's a
we've
video
spent-
on Rumble that you can go watch because YouTube
kicked
won't
it
allow
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great. Yeah. Teach you how to solar cook. And there is a link for, I think, is it on Rumble? The Amazon link?
I'm not sure.
If not, you should put it on there like pronto because I can't
Okay.
access it at the moment.
It's
But
on
yeah.
our YouTube site under
No.
our, yeah,
I thought they took
it
it.
is.
Oh,
No.
did you put it in the main?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we have it as a banner or something? Sorry, guys, we got a little off track here.
In the general description and the more, here are the links. We've got our Twitter link, a Manek link, and then the store link. You click on it and it will take you. And in there we have, some
all the
solar
solar
cooking
cooking stuff.
Yeah. So
This is-
this actually is not a satellite dish, it's a solar oven. And these are actually solar cookers that have been tried and tested by Moffat on Money personnel, staff, family members, friends, and associates.
Mhm.
So, most anything we put on here are stuff that we have, our very close friends, associates of the show have used or recommend highly. And, you may find some of it useful, particularly in those events where there's no electricity. Those little ovens actually are pretty effective cookers.
Can you take that link and put it in a banner? Because I can't speak when you have a picture up because it's insane.
A little echo won't hurt, but
Oh, here we go. Ghost Sun's having a huge sale on solar cookers right now. Ghost Sun is one of the brands. It is in my vehicle. I should probably go grab it and show. Do you want me to do that live?
no, If you have one, yeah, actually go do
Yeah,
it.
it's in the car.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me, I'll be right back.
There's the link to the store. Now, if GoSun is having a huge sale, I don't know that that sale price will pass through to Amazon. So you want to check that. I'm not trying to, say don't buy from the store, but if it's cheaper, I would do it. It's where I would buy it from. Um, but Jane keeps up with that extremely well. She's kind of our resident expert on the topic. She's the one who actually introduced the topic of solar cooking to us. And Ellen, on a visit up there, it's when they filmed the solar cooking video. We actually need to reshoot that because for reasons we're not definitely certain of, but think we know, YouTube yanked the video. So going to reshoot it, try to get it back up on YouTube one of these days. The port. Okay. Once again, Americans are going to be facing, or very well could be facing, shortages of goods and higher inflation. This time, instead of being due to a global pandemic, it would be due to a worker strike. The International Longshoremen's Association, ILA, last night went on strike, and it affects 48,000 port workers from Maine all the way down the coast around to Texas. This is the first time this particular union has gone on strike since 1977. Now, as unions are wont to do, they're looking for higher wages and protections against automation. Interestingly, a few days ago, before the strike began, they were offered a package that included a 50% wage hike and no automation agreements for years. But they turned it down, didn't even make a counteroffer, which I find interesting. We'll talk about that more in a second. Ellen?
I put it somewhere.
Shocked, absolutely shocked.
Can you explain to the good people what that means?
She thought it was in her car and it wasn't. And that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, come on. You know me. You can do better. I'm like, where the fuck did I put it? I have a bad case of ADHD, guys. I lose everything, like everything. Everything.
Life is a constant adventure.
It is a constant battle with myself going, what in God's name did I do with this thing that I love and want and need, including my phone, my glasses, my AirPods,
The
my
essentials.
computer. Yeah, everything that means anything, I will misplace it and then forget what I did with it and be convinced that it was going to be safe there because I could find it.
What's even better is sometimes, and well, one time, not sometimes, one time she told me she put, I think it was actually her AirPods. She laid them down somewhere, and as she laid them down, she said to herself, or thought to herself, I won't remember where these are.
And I did it anyway.
And she did it anyway, and then spent 2 days looking for them. Finally, I think found them.
3 days.
3 days. Finally found them. But yeah, when you're taking something and going to put it down, and you think to yourself, I'll never find it if I put it here.
Don't put it
and
there.
then you go ahead and do it.
And I told him, I was like, I don't even know why I did that. Because I was just like, I know I'm not going to remember this.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway. Because that's the crazy
that
lives up here.
That's part of the fun.
I have lost so many things. It's not even funny.
Yeah, you want to be close friends with Ellen because you could pick up a lot of good stuff for cheap.
I will never know it's gone. I'll just be like, I lost it. I don't know where it is. But no, Jane gave me that solar cooker. It's here somewhere.
Did you pull it out to use it?
No, I don't know what I did, Clay. We know this.
Okay. All
It
right,
could
back
be
to
in
the
my trunk,
strike.
but it's too dark to like try to figure that out right now.
No problem.
Yeah.
But real quick,
Could
do
be in the
recommend,
house. I don't know.
yeah, do recommend the solar cookers, particularly if you live in an area where you might have some loss of electricity for a while. We obviously live on the coast. Hurricanes are a very real concern here. Being without power for days or weeks is an issue. So, if you are like-minded or you just like to prepare, you just like to go camping, it's a great little tool to take, if you like camping, which we also heartily recommend. But back to the strike, the port strike. The union refused a 50% wage hike and an agreement not to automate for years. Did not make a counteroffer, which again, I thought was kind of interesting. It's almost like they want to strike, regardless of how good the offer is. How many times can you turn down a 50% wage hike? Doing the same job, no increase in production or anything. You've got great health insurance, great benefits. Anyway, a strike, if prolonged, will lead to shortages of certain items and boost prices for voters already frustrated with the soaring housing costs, the soaring food inflation, those kind of things. The ports handle probably about half of the Eastern Coast ports handle about half of all U.S. imports, and that includes food, oil, clothing, automobiles, electronics, obviously cars from foreign manufacturers, even holiday toys. The big ones would be oil and food. Now, I was talking with somebody and said, well, the U.S., produces a lot of oil. We do. But the problem is the U.S. oil is very, very heavy, very viscous. It's called sour. And it's not really suitable. It's not the best oil for refining into gasoline and the lighter fluids. It's the lighter, not lighter fluid, but lighter type gas and diesel, whatever. The
Like butane?
U.S.
Or
oil, do what?
like butane? Or did you say
Butane.
lighter
Yeah,
fluid?
those,
Okay.
yeah, those kind of things. I was talking about lighter in terms of weight and thickness,
Gotcha.
but it came out sounding like cigarette lighter fluid.
It did.
It's oil. It's oil that's better suited for using for greases, for lubricants, for heavy, thick oils, engine oils, that kind of thing. The oil we import is a lighter and sweeter crude, and it's better for refining into gasoline. Canada has lighter oil, but we don't have the Keystone Pipeline, so most of it has to be imported via the ports or shipped by rail car, which makes Warren Buffett happy, seeing as how he owns the rail line. So the loss of oil imports can be significant, particularly for those who buy and utilize gasoline. We'll probably have less gas production and higher prices within a month. I don't know the exact timeline. I'm just kind of guessing, but it won't take long. Food, a lot of our fruits and vegetables, particularly during the fall and winter, are imported. U.S. crops have pretty much run their course. A lot of crops like tomatoes, bananas, lettuces, etc. You don't store really well long term, so we have to import those. Well, if the ports are closed, they're not getting in, and it's too expensive to fly them in. Pharmaceuticals, we import almost all of our antibiotics. Some raw chemicals for manufacture of other pharmaceuticals. So if you rely on a particular drug or medicine, you want to make sure that it's domestically sourced, including the raw materials for it, because there very well may be a shortage of that, before long. Now, some other interesting aspects about the strike: the leader of the ILA is a guy by the name of Harold Daggett. That's a great name. Sounds like a murder mystery kind of name.
Somebody said like mafia. I was like, wouldn't say all
Uh,
that.
an old Perry Mason film. You could see one of the characters being Harold Daggett. Anyway,
Hmm.
he's keeping it all in the family. His son is the executive vice president, but they have refused to negotiate of late, ratcheting up the rhetoric. He's calling for war against employers, and he's telling everyone that, hey, the docks belong to us. Now, according to Daggett, what they really fear is automation. He's trying to protect, quote unquote, the workers' jobs. So what does he fear? Well, I found this video of a Chinese port, Guangzhou. And this will give you kind of an idea of what an automated port looks like. Now notice these kids controlling the equipment. I swear they look like they're 15. Now, I don't know about you, but that kind of looked like a huge ass video game being played. And some of those kids looked like they were 13, 14, 15, whatever. But they're running that entire damn dock. People unload ships with the 5G, and then AI vehicles automatically drive the containers, to trucks and load them on trucks without human assistance. So, I mean, this is kind of like a tale of two systems. You notice not only the kids running the port, but, there's implied in all this a fear of AI, that AI will replace dock workers. The more I see of AI, the more I, kind of lean toward the notion that not as worried about AI replacing people. I don't think that AI will replace people, but I think people using AI will replace people. I got to admit also, this is kind of, a beautiful, clean operation. But what happens when the electricity runs out or cuts off? What happens if the computers, are shut down, hacked, whatever, experience some, fatal issue? Everything shuts down. At that point in time, people won't be able to load or offload because nobody will be there to do it. Nobody will know how to do it. I think you need a balance of both. So, I would hope that with the sufficient raise, a delay in implementing technology, that, something can be worked out, but, we'll see. Also, to add a little spice, I think Ellen, mentioned something earlier about the Daggett, Harold Daggett. Well, this is a post I made earlier. We will cripple you. That's his quote. I talked about how he's not negotiating. He was offered 50%, turned it down. We will cripple you. Speaking of the U.S. economy. And, don't want people worried about Daggett. He owns 76-foot yacht, drives a Bentley, and makes $900,000 a year. Ellen mentioned something about the mafia. Well, the Justice Department in a 2005 trial connected him to the Genovese mafia family.
Did
But
they?
they did. But he was acquitted on the racketeering charges. When the main witness was found, his body was found decomposing in the back of a car outside of a mafia restaurant in New Jersey. So how cool is that? So, one word of advice to y'all: stock up.
These people today don't know what a strike is. When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
And you better believe him.
Yeah.
He's about to cripple the whole nation. And most of you have no idea. And Jane, I did get that link up, and it is pinned to the top of the YouTube channel.
Oh, on the sale? Good.
Yeah.
So Daggett's an interesting guy. He, kind of looks like he's got connections, now whether it extends to the mob or just, having Biden's phone number, don't know. But I do know this. I know he's been a vocal Kamala supporter, or Kamala. Vocal supporter. And, here's where I get kind of into the conspiracy theory, but tell me this is not possible. He creates a crisis, then allows Kamala to swoop in and save the day. Kind of a nice cover or deflection of her Waltz screw up and the horrible economic tax policies she's advocated. And Waltz screw up. Do y'all know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah.
Today or a few days ago, she was asked, why did she, pick Waltz? And she said, I was drunk. I might have been drunk at the time. What a hell of an answer. Today, 3 different times she was asked questions and just sat there mute. You think the staff has gotten through to her and told her under no circumstances to open her mouth without a pre-written speech?
She did not
And
do a very
lost.
good job on the MSNBC interview the other night at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
she
Waltz,
tanked it.
how does that make you feel when your head of your ticket says she was drunk when she picked you? Just like,
Hey, she didn't pick him. We all know that's the case.
it's just funny.
If
So,
Kamala can
yeah,
negotiate the contract at the last minute
at
and
last
save the United
minute, save the
States,
United States. How great of a headline would that be across the mainstream media?
but the mafia guy, is a friend of Trump's. Like,
No, he's a Kamala supporter.
wait, that's not what I heard at all.
Yeah.
I heard something entirely. Sorry, I can't say anything when you're have a picture up, so I have to be quiet, and so I miss some of the context and text and speaking. But no, I heard he was a Trump supporter or a friend of Trump's. Hello?
I'm searching.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I can't
Hard for
remember where
me
I
to-
saw it. I do apologize.
Yeah. I have seen, it's interesting. I have seen him back Kamala, but I can't find anything on Google about it now.
Of course not.
So that's
Because
kind of interesting.
now I got to find the thing.
I will do more
Dagnabbit.
searching on that, but I am 99% certain he's supported Kamala. That's one reason that Biden won't intervene or Kamala won't intervene, because of his support. And probably 35% of the union supports Harris, the remainder support Trump. But that's why the union officially has not issued a support for anybody, because Daggett supports Harris, and he, doesn't want to go against a strong majority of his union. But yeah, the dude's not an associate of Trump. Jane says the union threw their support behind the Democrats. Did the union officially do that, or is that just Daggett? Google is not working for me.
Sorry, I'm looking into this.
Yeah. Again, Google brings up nothing on it. So I don't want to say, it for certain. I can't find it. I will do more searching, and I'll try to tweet something out. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, this is a good opportunity to do so.
CNN, Daggett has also previously highlighted his close ties to former President Donald Trump, asking union members to pray for the Republican presidential nominee. That was today.
Is that Harold Daggett?
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, send that to me.
Which one?
Either one.
Worker. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to look at it now. Like I say, I'm going to have to do some further research on it. And I have oftentimes disagreed with certain CNN reporters' coverage. And
They never say
pretty much
like,
been
okay,
right.
Like President Biden has sent a clear message that he has no plans to do anything with them.
Yep.
But they normally wouldn't say, but the guy's friends with Trump. I mean, that's normally not.
Yeah, if he really was friends with Trump, I don't think Biden would hesitate to come out vocally. Whatever. I don't know. Don't know. So I'm just not going to speculate.
Yeah, but I saw a few articles about it, so I don't know. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, I remember we saw a bunch of articles about how, Hunter's computer was Russian disinformation, so on and so forth. So I'm always very cautious with some sources. I'm not saying it is or it. I'm just cautious.
I understand. And I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying what I saw. I did not see the Kamala thing.
But it's going to be interesting. Again, this port strike hasn't gotten to me near the coverage I think it should. It hadn't been addressed in the mainstream media that I have seen to any great extent. Even the stock market hasn't been, paying attention to it. The market was up this morning, even knowing the strike had already begun. The only thing that caused it to fall was after Iran started launching missiles at Israel. And then you've got greater concerns about World War III beginning.
Oh, okay.
Ellen, are you talking to yourself or do you have something to share?
I have something to share. I'm gonna send it to you. This is from Politico. Yeah.
Well, go ahead and tell us.
Continue on. I'm not doing that app. It just showed the thing and now it's not doing it. Just let me read. Okay. Hang on. Continue on. I'll get there.
All right. Anybody else? Let's see. Daggett. Harold Daggett is the guy's name. I think I said Doggett. Kind of a
It's Daggett.
Yeah, it's Daggett. Suzanne, Teamsters Union head spoke at the RNC. This is a different union, not
Suzanne.
sure where the confusion is. This union is affiliated with the Teamsters. It is one of a number of different unions that have generally affiliated with the Teamsters, but is pretty much wholly independent of the Teamsters. It is run by Daggett. He is in firm control. And of course, if he gets his workers' wages doubled, he'll be a hero to them. It's hard not to like somebody that doubles your income. So even if you don't agree with him politically or whatever.
Analysts from JP Morgan have estimated the cost of strike-related closures could climb as high as $5 billion per day.
Yep. And, something else that a lot of people don't appreciate is for every day the strike occurs, it will take probably 5 to 6 days to make up for that. Because you've got a full day's work coming in every day. And if you've got a day backed up, you can only get a small part of that done in addition to your regular work. Does that make sense? So for every day they're on strike, it'll take 5 days to straighten out, to even out, according to estimates.
All right, here's the snippet that I had to find again in the entire article. Notably, Daggett, who endorsed Biden in 2020, earlier this summer said he had a productive 90-minute meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago in late 2023 and that he enjoys a long relationship with the former president. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Trump meets with people all the time, and a lot of it, like this guy supported Biden, and I'm pretty sure is supporting Harris, though I can't prove it at this moment.
Don't know.
And so the media has oftentimes taken some of these meetings, some of these, some of the comments, whatever, and kind of blown them out of proportion. And I halfway suspect that's what's happening again, but we'll see. Time will
Okay.
tell all.
Will we ever really get the truth though about anything ever?
Anything ever?
Like Kennedy, like anything?
Eh, You know, that to me, the biggest generator of misinformation over the
Mhm.
past, I don't know, several years, even longer,
Mainstream media?
20 years, 30 years, has been government.
That controls
Um,
mainstream media.
yeah, they feed mainstream media what they want mainstream media to tell us. They leak what they want to leak, whether it's accurate or not, it still
Mhm.
becomes the headline. And headline after headline still becomes perception, and perception becomes belief.
And if you guys haven't noticed, you can watch like show to show to show to show to show, and they say the exact same verbiage. It's just like on repeat.
On newscast,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like they have the same script.
Hmm. They're
And
supposed to repeat it.
yeah, some of these videos show, like, you start off with, two newscasters. It's generally a man and a woman, and they are saying, they're reading. You've got the teleprompter. Let me get it straight here. You've got the teleprompter in front of them, so they're actually reading what they're saying. And it starts off with one, then all of a sudden you see a second set from another news station
Hmm.
saying the same exact saying, same pace, then a third one, then a fourth one, then a 10th one, then a 20th one, then a 50th one. And it's like, well, damn, you know, don't know to what extent that goes on, but it's not a fluke and it's not a rare occurrence. And then
Yeah.
look at 2020. You had the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA pressuring Meta and Twitter and other social organizations, social media sites, to censor and kick off contrary thought, contrary opinion. And just over the past few months, I've seen 4 or 5 Democrats, John Kerry, Waltz, Harris, AOC, all talking about how the First Amendment is an impediment to government. That government needs to be able to control misinformation, needs to be able to outlaw and prevent misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking in the back of my head that government is the biggest perpetrator of misinformation
Yeah.
ever.
No doubt.
So some of that to me is scary, just damn scary, that people in control are saying the First Amendment is inconvenient to their rule. Well, hell yeah, that's what it exists for. The whole
What do you,
idea behind free speech is to protect speech that people don't like, particularly powerful people don't like. Speech that powerful people agree with doesn't need protection. So the whole idea of the First Amendment is to protect unpopular speech that people don't like.
let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. Not entirely off topic, but do you think the First Amendment or the Second Amendment are more under scrutiny or whatever at the moment?
Well, if they can get rid of the second, it makes it a whole lot easier to get rid of the rest. Get rid of the rest.
So, what do you think is more in danger of us losing? I mean, I think if you get rid of the second, then, like you said, the rest is kind of easy.
Yeah.
But I guess we just saw that. That's more important. But which do you think is more under attack at the moment?
Probably the first being more under attack
Mhm.
because, Kamala has said that if she's elected, she will use her presidential powers to initiate mandatory buybacks of guns. Waltz has argued repeatedly there's no right for individuals to own guns and that there's no right of first free speech.
But she said that
he actually uttered those words.
I know. But she actually said that she and Waltz both own a gun. They would never take away firearms.
Did you see what her staff said?
I did, but I don't know if everybody else did.
Well, tell them.
You tell him. I quote things terribly. You know this.
Her campaign head was being interviewed on one of the talk shows and was asked about, what gun did Kamala own? And she just laughed and said, Kamala doesn't own a gun. She doesn't believe in owning guns.
I did not actually see that. That was something else I was thinking of.
So, bingo. Does Kamala own a gun or not? Well, she won't answer questions about it now. So we may never know. We are left to guess.
Does she answer anything about anything?
She is refusing to answer every question now.
It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's so freaking annoying. It's like, just put it out there. Say exactly what you think. But I also heard today that she doesn't really have a stance on anything, and she's just doing whatever they are telling her to do.
Oh, I think she has a stance. I definitely
so?
do. She was raised by a staunch communist. Her father is a communist economist, has worked for Jamaica and at Stanford. He is a staunch Marxist economist. She was raised, and even her ideas, her ideology, a lot of her quotes, being unburdened by what has been.
Oh God, please!
That was lifted almost verbatim from Karl Marx.
I am so tired of hearing that statement.
Yeah, but the point is, it was lifted from Karl Marx. She had another cliche or quote. She said, it also was either Lenin or Marx. I can't remember it at this time. I'll look it up and find it. But well, her whole ideology is government is the solution. She even talks oftentimes not of, what's the term? Equality and equity.
Equity?
Yeah, she doesn't talk of equality. She talks of equity and equity and equity. That's a Marxist concept because you're basically taking from the rich to give to the poor. You're ensuring equal outcomes regardless of the inputs. You penalize the productive and subsidize the unproductive.
So what does that give you, Clay?
Economic policy.
What does that give you? Mediocre everything.
It gives you misery, ultimately. Governments that have now, let me be very careful about the words I use because a lot of people aren't. Capitalism. Capitalism is simply a transaction that is entered into voluntarily by both the buyer and the seller. Both of them do the deal freely. They don't do the deal if one doesn't. Neither one's under compulsion. Socialism. Socialism is government control of the means of production. It can be either through outright ownership or extensive regulation, telling companies what they can and can't produce, penalizing them if they do produce something that the government doesn't want produced. Communism is not only control of the means of production, but of the demand. It not only tells you what you can produce as a worker, but what you can buy as a consumer. So those are the three different forms of economic system. Every twist or version falls under one of those or is some sort of hybrid between the two. Mm-hmm. And so when I say socialist, I mean somebody who wants government to control the means of production. When I say communist, it's somebody who wants not only government to control the means of production, but to dictate demand, what can be bought. So I'm very clear on the words I use. I want y'all to be clear on them as well. And those are traditional, standard, historical, economic definitions. So Kamala is a communist in her history, in her raising, in her training, in her advocacy, in her positions. You look at the sum of them down through the years. She is very much pro government should control the individual's life and economic activity. She has no respect for individual rights. When she was Attorney General, Biden in the debate even exposed her in 20 when she was running for president. He absolutely humiliated her. And you never see this being broadcast. But he pointed out, as Attorney General, the courts ordered her to release people convicted of marijuana misdemeanors, which she was keeping in prison. She refused to do so for an extended period of time because the state needed the labor to mow public grounds, to maintain public buildings, whatever. She had no problem with imprisoning people to serve government's ends. If that's not the height of contemptible, I don't know what is. I can't communicate it or explain it any better. But she has absolutely zero regard for individual rights as enumerated in the Constitution, and particularly the Bill of Rights. That's just something that doesn't really exist to her. It's all subject to whimsical interpretation or even ignoring. And that's her history. And I'll be glad to debate the facts of that with anybody, anywhere, anytime. Her track record is consistent. And it's available for review. Just because it's not widely publicized doesn't mean it still doesn't exist. So, anybody have any questions? Since Ellen is gone, we'll kind of shift here a little bit to what's going on in the markets. Been somewhat interesting. Actually, a lot has gone on, and I'm sitting here trying to get rid of stupid ads that I can't get rid of. This is called a heat map. This is a heat map of the S&P 500. And it takes the 500 stocks in the S&P. Let me try to redo this, see if that helps. Yep, that's better. It takes the 500 stocks in the S&P and converts them to these little squares. The size of the square is based on the size of the company, the market capitalization, which is simply the number of stocks outstanding times price. So the biggest companies by market cap are obviously Microsoft, Nvidia, and Apple. Google's pretty big, Meta's pretty big. And then you've got all these smaller little squares here. All these little companies there. I say little, they're still 500 million, 800 million, $1 billion companies. So, but compared to Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, they're small. So these are the 500 companies that make up the S&P 500. Actually, 503 companies. Still called the S&P 500. Well, it breaks it up into segments like here's semiconductors, software infrastructure, internet content under communication services, which also includes telecom, et cetera, et cetera. So it breaks the companies up by industry. And it shows the return over that period. This is one day, this is today, and it shows the return in terms of color, hence the term heat map. The red means that the stock price fell for the day. Green means that it rose. And as you have different shade differences, that indicates the strength of the move. So bright red is a bigger fall than medium red, which is bigger than the dark red or almost brown. Here you can see the difference between Amazon, color in Amazon at minus 0.6% versus Tesla minus 1.3% versus Microsoft 2.2, Nvidia minus 3.6. So you can see different shades indicate the amount of movement. So that's a heat map. And as you can tell today, you can look at that and go, well, the market was probably down, particularly when the biggest companies are red or deep red, market's usually down. You see here that tech, which is this area here, you've got financial services, this area down here, entertainment. Where's entertainment? Oh, geez. I just had it. Now I've lost it. Somewhere in all this little print is entertainment. All down today. Energy was up relatively strong. Aerospace and defense right here was generally up, particularly after the announcement of war. Gold also down here in the corner. Gold was up today. The really interesting thing about this heat map, other than just the visual effects, is you can look at trends over a period, how things have shifted in the market. Remember, for the past year, 2 years, I've been talking about the Mag 7, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, how they're responsible for the bulk of the upward movement in the market, while the other 493 companies have struggled, either been about even or even had negative returns. Well, if we look at the 3-month performance, this kind of is interesting to me because if you look at the Mag 7, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, you've got Apple up. Where's Tesla? Tesla is up. You've got 2 out of the 7 that are up. Apple's only up 2%, but the rest of the Mag 7 are down. But you look at the other 493, with the exception of energy, which we'll talk about in a second, everything is up. That's interesting because that kind of seems to indicate the market is moving away from the emphasis on the Mag 7 and is starting to look more at other areas, particularly defensive areas like utilities. Utilities over the past 3 months has just taken off. Over the past 3 months, you're looking at probably an average 20% return in this sector per company. Gold, obviously, also up somewhere around 20-25%. And these are traditionally defensive stocks, that and consumer staples, like Walmart, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, stuff that people will buy even or buy from when times get hard or despite times being hard. Now, if we look at the 6-month performance, here you can see more the strength of the Mag 7, Nvidia up 30, Apple up 34, Google up 9, Meta up 16, Amazon up 3, Tesla up 55. So pretty damn good numbers. But even at that, with some of the recent hits Microsoft has taken, Amazon kind of lowered their overall impact. But here you see a lot more red amongst the, I guess all that flashing is getting kind of crazy. I can't really point out to companies without that pop-up box. But here you see a lot more red in a lot in a lot of different sectors. And if I go to 1 year, NVIDIA up 168, Microsoft 33, Apple 33, Google 27, Amazon 45. That's pretty strong. So I like the heat map, but I particularly like looking at it where if I want to see changes in trends, it doesn't give me necessarily proof, but it gives me some evidence to research further. And I think that's valuable. And this site is easily available. It's finviz.com, finviz.com. Anybody can access it. It's free. And you can play with this to your heart's content. You can, even look at specific companies and their particular stock report and, individual data. So it's a great little site for information if you're hunting and pecking. Now, I said that I would talk about oil more. With all the chaos going on in the world today, the port strikes, obviously World War III beginning, or, being a little facetious there, I certainly hope it's not. But we saw oil jump today. It has been trending down due to the slowing in the economy, the death in China's economy. I think Jane mentioned earlier that, alluding to China's population collapse, they need automation to keep up. And yes, their population will absolutely fold over the next 30 years. With their one-child policy that they had in effect for decades, that greatly hurt their demographics, destroyed their young demographics. So the whole society is aging faster, and there's not enough young kids to replace the old. So their population will start falling, but more importantly, they have fewer and fewer and fewer young people working to support the older people. They're going to get buried in that. I'm really not terribly worried about China as an economic competitor down the road. Their economy is already in serious, serious problems. Now, their market's up 20% in a week because they just issued a huge, quote-unquote, stimulus plan to try to help, real estate and some of the industrial sectors that are just absolutely folding. But it just kind of goes to show you the worthlessness now of stock markets in reflecting economic reality, particularly when central banks are getting involved, pumping heavy amounts of cash into the markets. So if the central bank is printing money and that money is used to buy stocks and bonds, hell yeah, those markets are going up. And that has no relationship to what's going on in the economy or any future expectations of what will happen in the economy. If I think the economy is absolutely going in the tank, and I think people aren't even going to be able to afford Walmart, I may want to sell Walmart stock. But if I know somebody who doesn't care about economic performance is going to invest millions or billions in Walmart, I'm buying Walmart because that stock is going up. It doesn't matter what's happening to their customers. It doesn't matter what's happening to their sales. And if you look at sales and revenues on an inflation-adjusted basis, it's not a great story. You look at forward PEs, the market's overpriced, but yet it keeps going up. And the economy, jobs are, layoffs are increasing, job openings are decreasing, poverty's increasing, manufacturing has been in contraction for 2 years now. Literally, I could go through sector by sector. Real estate sales have collapsed. sector by sector.
Commercial real estate, especially.
Commercial real estate is utterly collapsed. Banks are losing deposits out the wazoo, have lost deposits out the wazoo. There's not really anything good going on in the private sector. The only growth industries are government and healthcare, which who funds healthcare, the bulk of healthcare?
American people.
Government.
Well,
So government
taxes.
and government are really the only sectors growing. That's never good. The only real sector hiring is government. And there comes a point in time when there's not enough people in the private sector working, paying taxes to support those working for the government, that the whole thing just collapses. And it's going to be ugly. I don't need a great crystal ball to tell me that. I need a great crystal ball to tell me when it's going to happen, exactly when it's going to happen. I can't predict that. But I can do the maths kind of stuff. And the maths kind of stuff just doesn't work out if you've got 100% of people working for government.
The math doesn't math.
Yeah. Now,
Sorry,
if you're a
Pat.
socialist, you think that's idyllic. Government
Yeah.
controls everybody. You know, and that's part of the problem with China's economy. They have started reverting away from some of the opening and more free market policies that they, kind of switched to in the 90s, which then spurred their tremendous economic growth. They're reverting more to, Maoist policies. The current government is becoming very, very hardcore. And you're seeing the economy suffer as a result of it. You're seeing living standards suffer. You're seeing freedoms being revoked. You're seeing opportunities being cut. And now the government's getting desperate and says, hey, we're the government. We can fix it. We can just spend more money. We can just print more money.
We've
That'll
talked about this a
cover up
million times.
Yep, that'll cover up the problems temporarily. It doesn't fix them. And in fact, it only makes them worse in the long term.
It makes it worse for the American citizen.
Well, China's such a big economy that if they fold, in terms of a lot of the exports, metals, in terms of the stuff we import from China, we import a lot of our drugs from China. And so if China just absolutely quit exporting medicine to us, we'd be screwed.
Yeah, China
So
and then India as well.
Yeah, we have some huge exposure in that area. And there's some efforts that have begun to try to reverse that in critical stores, but particularly in medicine, rare earth materials. We heavily, heavily depend on China.
Lithium, cobalt, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
So, yeah, I do. That would be
Sorry.
Chunk. That would be Chunk wanting Ellen to be more active in participating in his entertainment.
And finding the ball that he has lost, and he's staring at me going, won't you go get it, mama? No. I'm busy. I got this thing going on.
This is Life with Chunk.
Yes. A day in the life of Chunk. Come here. Come say hey. Oof.
Oof.
Oof. He's heavy.
He's
That's
like-
why it's called Chunk.
He's like, Mama, you don't understand. It's over there somewhere. Quick, hurry before it dies.
No, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna take you and put you in the main part of the house because you are being too much. All right.
He is he's just a ball of funny. He is an entertaining little beast. I'm not going to lie. He's high maintenance. Tallulah's high maintenance. Hell, Ellen's high maintenance.
Just
But-
because I haven't been there for a week, all of a sudden, all the animals are awesome.
But yeah, they that's why you get a Morkie, because you want something that loves to be next to you and is cute as hell and
Mhm.
little bubbly personality. So Yeah, the further away they get, the cuter they get. I don't know how that works, but
Sorry, I had an itch.
it's all right. Where
Mhm.
was I? Oh, started to talk about oil. Then I got distracted a little bit. So you're seeing, the market kind of shift more towards traditional stocks, defensive stocks, stocks that don't fall as much in falling markets, or that, will still produce some earnings, some growth, some cash in, poor mediocres or stagnant economies. Well, with all the chaos going on in the world today, we saw oil make a pretty big move. Oil has been falling. This is what I, started to say. Oil has been falling because Chinese economy is tanking. They're not consuming as much. The U.S. economy is starting to, has been decreasing. We're not going to be, needing as much. Europe's not going to be needing as much. So oil has been in kind of this, long-term downtrend for a year. Well, we saw it hit 66 this morning at the market open, or pre-market, which is pretty much near the low for the year. And then, we saw Iran start the fireworks. Well, oil shot up to $71.
That would have been a
Which
very
is-
good quick trade.
Yeah. So that was a pretty good jump today. Gold rose from 2660 to about 2691 by midday. When I checked right before the show, it was down a little bit. I think it's just some profit taking or whatever. But gold is up nearly 30% year to date and doesn't look ready to stop. Bitcoin dropped $250 million in value today. Not an
Wow.
insignificant drop.
No.
This 250 million drop was within 4 hours of Iran's attack. So it's fairly
Really?
rapid. Yep. The argument, some will use this to argue that Bitcoin isn't really a digital gold because gold is seen as a safe haven. Treasuries, short-term treasury, T-bills, are seen as a safe haven. When crisis hits, when people panic, they flee stocks and risky assets and move to a safe haven. Gold traditionally has been one of those. T-bills are one of those. And some people, have hoped, prayed, whatever, that Bitcoin also has become one of those. Well, you see things like today dropping 250 million in a few hours. It's hard to call that a safe haven. But is it because of Bitcoin's nature, or is there is it because people don't trust Bitcoin, or is there some other reason underlying it? I think it's some other reason underlying it. Bitcoin is very liquid, and you'll see a lot of large investment firms, a lot of traders, buy Bitcoin, but when there's chaos or trouble in one of their positions, they get what's called margin calls. They've actually borrowed money to either buy or sell stocks. So if they've borrowed money, and some of these hedge funds will borrow 20 to 1, $20 with $1 of their own cash. So if they have a 1% return, that comes out to a 20% return. If they have a 1% loss, it comes out to a 20% loss. So some of these funds use a lot of leverage in their stock positions. Well, if stocks start to fall, y'all ever do that? Just combine about 3 words into one? Anyway,
All the time.
I think that's a sign of wit and intelligence. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough.
So these highly leveraged funds, when some of their positions start to fall, they have margin calls. The broker calls them up and demands that they put more cash to cover the loss that they've incurred. So that, I think, is what's causing Bitcoin's rapid drop, is these large funds will dump Bitcoin in order to cover some of their leverage positions. I got to agree, just that mere fact makes it, I wouldn't describe Bitcoin as a safety asset, not for any short-term investors. But again, I don't think that's a problem or inherent to Bitcoin itself. I think it's more due to the leverage trading, and Bitcoin is just a convenient asset to dump quickly. Even though I would say most buyers of Bitcoin think it's a relatively safe asset, particularly over time.
I agree, but if you have to have, capital quick, that's the first thing to dump. I think you
Yep.
probably just said that, but
Yeah, and I think that's it, because most people who buy Bitcoin are looking at it as a safe haven against inflation and currency devaluation. People don't really trust a lot of currencies anymore. And I think, a lot of those are switching to Bitcoin. BlackRock, Vanguard have all started Bitcoin ETFs. You're starting to see a lot of increase of flows into Bitcoin, particularly as, over the past 6 months, we haven't seen Bitcoin grow a lot, but that's because you've had like Mt. Gox had that collapse 10, 15 years ago. Well, just this past 6 months, they've been releasing the Bitcoin they have recovered. Robert Ray at FTX, we'll talk about that more, has recovered a lot of Bitcoin and has been restoring accounts.
We're doing that Saturday, this coming
Yes.
Saturday, because
We'll talk about FTX specifically Saturday. So you've had a lot of additional Bitcoin supply dumped on the market the past 6-9 months. So Bitcoin hasn't moved a whole lot, or it's been in this, range of 58 to 63 for a while. But you look at the new money coming in, and despite the new supply, quote unquote, of Bitcoin being dumped on the market, it's held up pretty well. So to me, this actually is more of a testament of its inherent value. I don't know if I want to use inherent, but I think there's some real security there. A lot of the investors really do see it as more of a safe investment. Maybe not in the short term, but year, 3-year, 5-year period. I just think some of the, like today's drop, just really more highlights the dangers of leverage in the market. Once these heavily leveraged traders liquidate their Bitcoin position, they have nothing else to cover their losses. And so if the market has a quick, sustained, and severe drop, this is only going to exacerbate the drop.
A non-basketball question. Did you get a chance
Sorry.
to meet with the
Pardon?
nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I heard somebody ask a non-basketball question.
No, that was my phone. I was inviting somebody, this lovely lady that I met last night, to watch the channel. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Hope she does. In fact, all of y'all watching, go grab your friends and neighbors for the next show. Y'all just have a block party to watch.
Please do. I love that.
Anyway, I think this just signals the risk in the market, because if the market does start to adjust in a major way, there's only so much Bitcoin these leverage funds are holding, and once they liquidate that position, they have nothing else to cover their margin calls, their risk. And, stocks they're going to have to start dumping stocks to a market that's already selling a bunch of stocks. And you're just going to see a even more rapid decline. That's the risk I see in some of this. That's what I see kind of lying or underlying this dump in Bitcoin. This, selling of assets, which will lead to greater sales of assets, which will just accelerate downward momentum. As the liquidations, accumulate, The losses will accumulate. Traders who have taken highly leveraged position on one hand have far greater risk, and it just increases the overall volatility in the market. So maybe I'm being a little bit too much of an apologist for Bitcoin, but with just some of the, that's the fun thing about being in the market. There's no clear, perfect call. You have to take bits and pieces of evidence and gleanings that you get from different places, people, information that you gather over time, experience, the experience to analyze it, the experience to inquire about it, whatever. And I just see increasing risk.
I agree.
Can't combine that with a specific date. I never try to give a specific date, but there are just times when I start getting more cautious. Well, this is one of those times I'm getting more cautious. Have been for months.
And you've been saying this, for at least the past year, saying it's happening. Don't know when, can't give you. It's kind of like when I go to the doctor. What they say, you're going to die. When? Don't know, but it's going to happen. It's going to be of something. Yeah. Can't tell you what, but it's going to happen. And, you are pretty good, in my opinion, this is not financial advice. You are pretty good at seeing what the market does or what the market's going to do, in my opinion.
Well, I like my track record. I appreciate that. I like my track record, but there is one 800-pound gorilla in the room that I can't ignore. And that is the Federal Reserve. Don't know how many people pay attention to it, but the Federal Reserve has this program called reverse repo, where banks will take a security and put it as collateral.
Okay, really?
Oh, it is debate time.
You are not even an American. I don't even want to hear it. Come on. You're Canadian.
It is getting near debate time. And do know a number of people have some interest. So let me just say this real quick.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve's reverse repo program. The banks will take a bond, put it on deposit at the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve will give them cash. The banks can then take this cash, invest it, whatever. Some of it, a lot of it may end up in the market. It's kind of like a QE light. We talked about quantitative easing over the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a QE light. And this has gone from 200 million up to, from, a few hundred million up to 360 billion just in the past few days. So all of a sudden, a lot of this cash is, the Fed is cutting rates, money supply is starting to increase, reverse repos are increasing. The Fed is providing a lot of liquidity to the market. They usually only do that when they're worried about banks defaulting. And some of that liquidity, will find its way to the market. If the Fed keeps pumping out free money, the market's going up. Doesn't matter what happens in the economy. It's just like China. Their market's up 20% this week with their economy crashing.
But it's a fake.
It's a temporary, it's a temporary condition, and it exacerbates the problem long term.
At large, yeah.
So it's a short-term Band-Aid that covers appearances, conceals reality. It does not change reality. And that's been my point all along. There's certain practical realities in existence out there that indicate the market needs to correct, and maybe in a major way. That can be delayed, deferred, putting Band-Aids. The Fed is the 800-pound gorilla to keep an eye on. And exactly what they're going to do, I don't know till after they've done it. Like the reverse repo.
Can you trust the 800-pound gorilla?
Powell has said basically that the Fed's policies when they were doing QE during, from 2010 through 2016
Right.
caused a lot of the problems that we're dealing with now. The housing bubble, the stock bubble, the inflation
The
rate,
tech bubble, everything.
yeah, all of that kind of crap. Certain assets get way overpriced. Investing becomes distorted, favoring certain assets over others that the market
Mhm.
ordinarily wouldn't choose. Banks become a whole lot sexier when they have a risk-free profit.
Banks are never
Financials
that sexy.
well, when they're guaranteed a profit, it's a
Well,
risk-free investment.
fair enough.
When they're guaranteed a monopoly, when they're guaranteed that they're going to get bigger, when they can eat up small banks at an unlimited rate, when the too big to fail become too bigger to fail, that might be a decent investment over time. And the market has certainly directed funds toward that and away from manufacturing, away from consumer production, away from consumer goods.
And
All
think
the
about
areas we are hurting.
manufacturing. I mean, I heard Kamala Harris say in her last interview with MSNBC, the televised mental institution known as MSNBC. Thank you, Dave Rubin, for that. Credit to you. That under Trump, we lost like 200 or 178,000 manufacturing jobs. He created almost 500,000 manufacturing jobs. COVID laid off 1.3 million, and all that didn't come back in that after COVID was 173,800. But that wasn't that he lost them. He created way more than he lost.
Yeah. And,
I just
manufacturing jobs fell in the 6 months before he took office. They increased the month after he got elected slightly and increased every month thereafter up until COVID.
Right.
And I really don't hold Trump responsible for COVID. I
No.
mean, under Obama and Biden, we were funding research at, bioweapon research at the Wuhan lab. What the hell are we doing funding bioweapon research at the Chinese Communist Bioweapons Research Lab?
What are we doing funding Ukraine? What are we doing funding all of this other
I'm just
BS?
talking about COVID. Just talking
Yeah.
about COVID. So I don't hold Trump responsible for a problem he didn't create, but had to face at the end of his term. I don't hold Biden responsible for, the mess during COVID. I don't give him credit for quote unquote creating jobs because Democratic governors shut down businesses and then allowed them to restart. That's not job creation.
No.
So you can't credit Trump for job destruction and then credit Biden for job creation when neither one had anything to do with that.
Correct.
So I kind of throw out the COVID years, 2 COVID years, when I look at somebody's economic performance, when I'm talking about the impact of their policies, et cetera. All right, y'all, it is about debate time. I know a lot of people want to go, watch the debate. We probably will go watch it. We might be among those who are interested. So I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. Enjoyed having you. Always good to see the family. We love you
see new
guys.
people.
Appreciate it.
We like to see new people. We like to see Suzanne. I'm so glad you were back.
And, I actually had a couple people, Timothy and some others, post. If you're new, next time, chip in the chat, say hey. Let us welcome you to the family, to the show. We appreciate y'all being here. Any questions you've got, let us know. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already.
And ring that bell. Get those notifications.
Yep, ring and hit the likes for us. That helps us a lot. We appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great week. We'll look forward to seeing you Saturday night, same time, same station. Y'all have a great rest of the week.
And the mac and cheese video is now public, so y'all have fun.
Go watch the mac and cheese video and learn how to make a great mac and cheese.
And hear me sing horribly. Have fun.
Which she has already caught a little grief for that. So feel free to chip in.
Thanks.
Y'all, thank you again. Our time is up. We thank you for yours.
Good night, guys.